28th for our Southwest Common Council meeting. Let's go around and people can introduce themselves. Go ahead, Bo.
Good evening, Bo Wright, Deputy Superintendent, Rochester City School District.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Golden. I am the Executive Director of Education for Hillside but I'm here as a 19th Ward resident.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Eleanor Coleman, Prosper Rochester, and Oasis.
And way back there in the corner.
Karen Lahr, teacher at 44 School.
Okay, Karen, thank you.
Rich Codding, member of Metro Justice and TIAR, which is the Interfaith Alliance of Rochester. I'm a board member there and interested in Rochester education because I was a graduate from the school system.
Ah, product of our school.
Yes.
I'm Jen with Rochester Public Library.
John Laing, 19th Ward.
Okay, and I'm John Boutte, 19th Ward also. So we've got our agenda today. We didn't get any there was a little bit of a write-up that I got back from Joe Baldino, but I didn't get one from all of the various sources we might. First,
The library news.
yeah, first thing we're going to do is touch base with our library, see what Jen has to report.
So I think it was the last meeting I shared the news that the city branches were getting a fairly large budget cut for the coming year. This meeting, I'm now at liberty to tell you in a little more detail what that means. And unfortunately, that means my position has been eliminated for next year.
Oh, no.
I'm still going to be employed, luckily, but they're moving me to the central library. And so I will not be involved out in the community like I am now after July 1st. So my feeling is we'll be able to cover this meeting with another staff member, maybe Bruce from here, or we have a couple librarians that are going to be picking up at least some of the community outreach and such. Possibly could be one of them that will hold this meeting for you. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm going to push to be able to, have someone here to continue this meeting as we've been doing, and Common Council over at Wheatley and such. But it is what it is.
Yeah, you've really been the backbone of our having a place to stay and somebody to take care of us.
Well, like I said, I'm certainly going to push that continues, even though it won't be me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be here through June at least.
Mm-hmm.
So
The library's not in jeopardy of closing.
Depends on your definition of jeopardy.
$300,000 budget cut.
Yeah,
300,000
Wasn't it 300,000?
over 300,000. Yeah,
from the city.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. We're not the only department facing a big cut, so yeah, I guess you could look at that as a silver lining that we weren't chosen out specifically, but yeah, it was a big cut. So to meet that, they're cutting my position. They're deferring some capital improvements to some of the buildings, which had been planned for the coming year. And I think there's a few vacancies maybe that aren't being filled, and other little nitty-gritty savings here and there to meet that 300,000 plus cut. So yeah, it is disappointing. At the same time, good news is that we've put in for increasing 3 part-time positions, at least in 3 of the branches that I currently oversee. Douglas, Arnett, and Wheatley are all going to have their current part-time children's librarian increased to a full-time position.
Oh.
So Bruce will be getting full-time, someone here who's part-time will be coming full-time next year. So that's great for the staffing in those 3 branches to increase, by that amount. That means
Is that Shamika?
no, it won't be
No.
Shamika. She's still going to be doing community outreach, but instead of having a Southwest focus, she's going to be citywide now. Yeah. And who exactly it will be is going to depend on civil service exam results. So we don't know yet exactly who will be in those new full-time positions. We're hoping the current part-timers can just be promoted that way, but we have to wait for the exam results. But that was the good news in this budget cycle is and it still has to be finally approved by the city council in May or whenever, but as long as that goes through as we ask for, that'll increase services in the branch. So that's good news.
What do you know what the main cause of the budget reduction was that was there? Lower taxes, some grants that they didn't get, other expenses.
I can't tell you for sure. I think the city in general has been running deficits for quite a few years now, and I know it's in the multi-million dollars. I don't want to throw a number at it because I don't know for sure, but I think it's tens of millions that they're saying they have a shortfall. And I'm sure it's related to property taxes. I'm sure it's related to healthcare costs and retirement costs going up. So those are usually the big 3 contributors to that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I'll be here through June at least. So. And then just a few things going on this coming month in April. At Wheatley, they're going to do tie-dye t-shirts for the teens on April 23rd from 5 to 6. And they have a new adult part-time librarian at Wheatley. And she is starting a women's book club, calling it Women in Wisdom Book Club. Their first meeting is going to be Wednesday the 25th at 5:30. And they're reading Terry McMillan's Who Asked You? And that's open to all. For the kids, they've got a scrap art program on Tuesday the 10th at 4, and paper plate caterpillars Wednesday the 18th at 5. And just a reminder, they do have homework help there every Wednesday and Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. And then here at Arnett, they got some special things going on. School break week, Money Matters Book Club. They're going to be helping kids hone their financial literacy skills with the book Sunday Shopping. That's for 12 and under. That's April 2nd at 1. And they're celebrating April Fool's Day on April 4th because April 1st is on the weekend. All day long, the kids can try to fool the librarians with jokes and riddles. Any kid who succeeds in fooling the librarians will win a prize. So that's 12 and under. And the big thing for the adults, well, it's really a family program, is the last of the Arnett musical performances. That's Saturday the 7th at noon, and it's the New Life Fellowship Gospel Choir. So they'll be performing here. That's always a well-attended program. I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you. And we're going to miss you. You can come and visit us anytime. There's another good soul.
Sorry I'm late. I had a PTA meeting tonight. So
Okay.
leaving there, coming here. I'm Ernestine Brown.
Hi.
Hi.
Ernestine, delighted to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Let's see, here's one of the things that they have
signed this yet.
No, I'm not.
sent around. Ernestine is the parent coordinator at School 16. right?
Yes, the parent liaison.
Parent liaison, and she lives in the 19th Ward.
Inglewood.
Inglewood, yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Looks like we'll get a report on School 16. Let's see, is anybody here who's involved with School 3 or has some information relative to School 3? Bo, do you have anything that you know of?
I really don't have a lot of school-specific information. You know, maybe when you get to the end of your agenda, if you want me to speak to some things in general terms, then I can do that. And there are a couple schools on your list that, you know, I can speak to and with more specificity.
Okay, very good. We'll go on. School 10. I did not hear anything from Lee Loomis this time. We did hear last time from Mike Schmidt that they're going into swing space come this summer sometime, or well, the fall when they come back, and that they're going to be away for a year up at Marshall, and they'll come back and the school will be renovated. So that's a success story from our standpoint anyways, because they were going to close the school and send it over to Building 1 back when we got started on this. So we keep them in the neighborhood, and the next one we've got is School 16. You just made it good timing. What can you tell us about what's going on at School 16, Ernestine?
Well, we all know we're ready to go back to Post Avenue by September.
Ooh.
Hopefully we'll be walking in there. A lot of involvement. I have a lot going on with the parents' events. I'm not sure what you guys are looking for 16, my first meeting. I can tell you I do things like dads and donuts every month, where I invite dads to come in, do some donuts and bagels and fruit, and bring people from the community and give them some resources. Also ask them to volunteer to greet the children when they get off the bus, so they can see some male role models in their school community. And I do Moms and Muffins as well, alternate weeks, and I do it once a month up until June. I also have.
How many people come out?
I'm sorry.
How many people come?
So I had my first one last month with the Dads and Donuts. I had approximately like 8 to 10.
Okay.
It's for dads, grandfathers, and uncles.
Who live wherever, but they have children at
But
School
have
16.
the children at School 16. The Moms and Muffins, I would say more like 7. I'm going to go with 6, 7. But the moms also live wherever, but have children at School 16. And that's for moms, grandmothers, and aunts. Or older siblings if they're older siblings that might be a caretaker. And I ask the same for them, and I bring resources in. I'll bring REOC in, I bring the city of Rochester. I had the district come in and speak to the fathers about things they needed from them in the community. I also have a bullying assembly coming up for the parents, seeing bullying or being bullied, who's who, and can you identify, so parents can identify if their child is bullied or being the bully and has once been bullied, to try to get a handle on that. Certain events, such as that, I know there's more, but I can't think. Parent appreciation, I'm gonna do. Parents come out and I have the kids do performance and appetizers. And I have a painting with a twist coming up.
Painting with a twist.
Painting with the twist. It's like, I don't know if there's a different locations where they have painting with the twist. You do with groups and family, and you bring food and appetizers and you do painting. The painting with the twist at school, the twist is math. So I have some math teachers there, and I would get problems from different teachers, and the parents can come in and learn how to help their children with math. Math has changed a lot since we were in school. So to be able to help them with homework, and then they would switch over to painting, and they would use the painting as a math using angles and shapes, but they'll take that painting home with them. And that's where I'm at.
Mm.
That's good.
Nice.
And the project fair.
And the project fair we just had, yes.
Yeah.
That was really big. I say like 45 different resources came out. Children put out work, science, writing, math, different forms of work, and different resources came out from our community. And you can get information from, we come from RG&E, the police department, Food Link,
What was this?
Project Fair. And
Project Fair.
yes, and they come, and we just have our resources lined up throughout the building. They all have their tables set up. Xerox came out, did some experiment with science, animals, different places.
About how many parents came out?
They had a it was hard to walk. I don't have the list on that sheet
Okay.
yet. It was done by one of our sixth grade teachers, or two of our sixth grade teachers, and I haven't gotten the list yet on the number for when they signed it.
Do you think it was 100 or?
I would say between 75 to 100, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we had a table set up there with the pictures of
Oh.
16
16,
renovations.
yes.
So.
Yeah.
How many, your estimate, how many teachers know they're coming back this year? Are they all aware of it at this point?
We're all aware. I don't know if everyone is
Going to?
I'm not sure, because they keep hearing this, that we're coming
I've been hearing
back.
it for 6
So,
years.
yeah,
but-
I'm new, I'm optimistic, so this is my first year at 16, so I'm hoping.
Okay.
So just, everyone knows, we're all aware
Mhm.
that we're going back. There's been an email put out by the principal sharing that.
And
And the post.
parents are aware also?
Parents are aware, we have posters out, when I speak to them, I let them know. Yeah, everyone's aware.
Okay.
Bo, do you think that it's going to be open?
Is it going back?
Yeah, I'm optimistic as well.
Okay. They're on point for the construction and everything?
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things we had hoped was that there'd be a real reaching out to the community so that everybody in the community knew it was reopening. And we hoped that that would be kind of like before sign-up time so that you get more kids from the neighborhood. But I don't think anything ever went out to parents in general, did it?
I will bring that back to placement and have some conversation with Mike as well from an operational standpoint.
Yeah, that's really something, we've been pushing for getting a lot of the things with the various schools in the neighborhood more to a neighborhood school thing so that you would have more like a 50% local, enrollment instead of 15-20%, which is more like what it is now. That under the hope, perhaps, or the assumption that if parents live near the school, they'll be more involved with going to things going on at the school. We should still have to prove that out, but that's
Right.
it sounds like from what we've heard from perhaps Spezio, that when they had a real neighborhood environment around the school, that it really brought people in. But we really would like to make sure that the central office plays with us at this, because what we've seen many times is that the placement doesn't seem to get the word, and that we've had to. There have been times where we send information to the board members so that they could turn around and get parents who'd like to sign up their kids and who were told they can't because that was back when they were trying to close 44 every other day. But that's been a ongoing problem.
Yeah, I can follow that up.
I think, Bo, to have a linkage between the FMP and placement, so placement knows exactly when things are going to open up again and when they're going to move, because people got a big surprise when one was closed, I think, last spring, right?
School one? You
Yeah.
call it one?
Yeah,
that was
it's being renovated
poorly
now,
done.
or what? One is
School one,
closed.
I believe one is closed, I believe.
Closed. That's not open.
That was-
yet,
It's not opening back up?
That's not the plan, that's not what I've heard. I heard
Hmm.
that they're closing, that's to be closed. Enrollment. That's my understanding.
Okay, because I thought that one school that was there, you know, thought that they were going to have the thing renovated, and then it got given away
To school
to ano-
15. So
Okay,
one,
yeah.
the school one itself is
Mhm.
gone.
Mhm.
Now what they're gonna put in there, I can't answer. But there was talk about school 15.
going into the building one.
That's what I had heard.
Okay.
But let me not, that's just
Yeah, I've been
what I
trying to
heard.
get that straightened out in my mind too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I've talked to, it was Beatrice, I think, who was here last time, who had a child in the school that was there and
Yep.
Had the door shut.
Gone.
had the
Yep.
door shut on them.
Huh.
Yeah. Yes.
As far as making parents aware, I did leave that out. I am planning, and I wanted to speak with you in the 19th Ward, because I did want to use Aberdeen Square lot as a welcome home and have a lot of parents come from the community. I was writing up now in our budget to have that take place, where the people in the community can come and do a walkthrough of the school
Mm-hmm.
and see the new renovation, and parents can sign up, children can get their haircuts, girls can get their hair done free of charge, and just have different things from the community in the 19th Ward there for the parents. So
Yeah, some of us have been talking about trying to do something, maybe having, you know, maybe get the 19th Ward Community Association to do something at the cafeteria in that school, having a big thing, or maybe try to have some candlelight dinner sort of things where we get the teachers to come out to some of the homes. I don't know if that's something that we might be able to arrange, but we need to do something to really get more interaction between people in the community and the school and the teachers, make sure that the teachers know that they're welcome, and get more of an interaction. Come on over.
I don't like to eat over there.
I think if there's a celebration like that, I'm sure the library would like to participate, and we could maybe bring the books by bike over
Yeah.
and give away
sounds
some
great.
free.
Yeah, that would be great, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we don't want to have the opportunity to do something welcoming for the teachers and for the school, and something to involve parents and make them more aware of the school pass us by, because this is kind of a once in a
Right.
lifetime situation of having the school renovated and reopened, and we would like to
Make it a big thing.
make it a big splash.
And yes, school 15 is going to go to school 1. I just read it. Okay.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
going to building one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Building
good.
1. Yeah.
What we used to have, when we could get it, is the distribution by zip code of the people who are going to school 16 next year. Just so we know where we're gonna target something for the parents. So is it local, or is it just almost anywhere in the city?
Hmm.
Are you asking me, or are you asking for the information?
Yes.
Because that's not something I can speak to off the top of my head.
No, I think this placement should have all the zip codes for all the kids.
Yes.
So just to know, there's 200 out of 14619, there's so many out of 14611, et cetera, et cetera. Would give us a shot, a sense of how local is it going to be or not.
Okay. I can probably get you that information.
Okay.
Will school 16 have some particular magnet or focus or something?
I am not sure of the answer to that. I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know, John?
No, I don't think so.
I did,
Okay.
yeah, that has not been discussed with me.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, other than the fact that they now have the community center there, which
Right.
hopefully things are moving along to have the city, staff that. I don't know what might blossom out of that capability.
And I'm Cecilia, by the way, Cecilia Golden.
She lives across the street from me.
No, you live across the street from me.
Right, right. Your mother was there before I was. Yeah, it was interesting because she was my son's first, second, and third grade teacher. And then we moved and ended up moving across the street from her mom.
Want to get away from each other.
Yeah, gee.
It's a good thing.
It's a
Yes.
good thing.
Okay. Anything else,
One little thing, just to tell Kevin, or whoever's on the community center, Quad A does after-school care now, at 16, which they probably would continue when they move.
Okay.
So just have to make the city folks aware of that you're looking for them more for preschool
Mm-hmm.
than post-school. Than afternoon care.
Okay.
Say that again? You're looking for them to do?
Well, we want around the wraparound care.
Right.
Okay,
So what isn't being serviced now is the morning,
before
preschool.
school.
Yeah. or not
Before school, don't say
before.
preschool. Preschool's 3-year-olds.
Yeah, it's all different.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so
So
wrap
before
around,
school.
early morning. Mm-hmm.
But after school is already taken care of by Quad A. And I'm assuming they would continue that.
Okay.
I doubt that we have to talk to Adam to find out what their plans are, but
Yeah, he's back with
Quad A?
Quad A now. I know for a while he had.
It's listed on his
Yeah,
website.
I think he's back. Okay, I haven't heard anything. I know Kevin Holman, who retired recently from Roxy Sinclair's Center, was going to get somebody else from the city to attend these meetings with us, but I haven't. I've got to give what's his name, Rose, a call there at Central downtown and see who's going to be following up on that.
Which part about School 19?
Well, that's relative to the community center, because we said, gee, they're coming back. And initially, when I went and talked to the recreation department at the city, they said, well, we're closing the rec center, Flint Street Rec Center,
Oh.
that summer or that year, because we're going to renovate it and we'll have people available to bring the 16, and hopefully by the following year we'll be able to hire whatever we need to continue staffing the after-school program there. Then last we heard there was a change in the plan, and it was going to be the Adams Street Center that was going to be closing this fall, and so there'd be some people from there coming, and Flint Street would be the following year or something like that. So hopefully we'll have somebody there from the city, and hopefully it will get institutionalized that their staffing until the next budget cut. So anyways, that's the latest I've heard. I don't think there's anything else we've heard about relative to 16, is there, John?
No. Except they'll be in the spelling bee.
Yeah,
Yes.
good. And School 19, I need to connect with the new principal there and vice principal and the parent coordinator, and I wrote a letter to them last night, which was way too late. I should have done this a week ago, and then forgot to press send until I looked at my computer again this morning. Hey, there he is. Would you introduce yourself, sir?
Dr. Dan DeMarle, education specialist, community activist, troublemaker.
Ah, yes. Good trouble, though, usually.
Attendance sheet, could you pass the attendance sheet? Oh, this one. Thanks.
Right. School 29, we had Joe Baldino here last month, and he gave us a good rundown of what was going on there. I got word back from him, and I've put it in on the agenda there, the few words he sent to can't make it this time. But they're working on doing work with the garden, painting ballards, which is something that Dan was one of the originators of doing that all over the place. Have you made sure that all the paint you're using is lead-free?
Yes.
Right answer.
We're not using paint from 1970s. Very careful about it.
Okay. So anyways,
Have they come to this library to sort out anything outside?
I'm sorry, what?
Does School 29 come to here to do a project the way they do the garden in Christmas time? Because Joe's talking about wanting to find out more, get them out into the fresh air and meet some neighbors, and there's already a connection with the library for other projects.
Yeah, they do come here, but are you saying, is there something else they can do here?
Yeah,
I'd have to check with Bruce. I mean, they're always welcome to come visit anytime
Yeah.
to do story
I mean,
times
they
or
do
check
the
out
Christmas
books or-
tree outside
Yeah,
there
library
and
cards,
stuff
yeah.
of that nature.
We did get another donation to do some more murals on the building. So that'll probably be starting in May, if they could maybe come and see a mural being painted in progress, sort of a thing, and maybe we could do some art-related craft or something with them for that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'd really have to ask Bruce
Okay.
what he can offer and manage.
We'll check with Bruce.
Can I jump back to School 16?
You may indeed.
So I talked to Mike Smith on the phone last week because I was looking to see if the district had any availability for people to go tour, because we have young families deciding right now where they're going to send their kids and deciding to move. And I was asking Mike if they had any like little 30-second video clips that they could share. You know, here's the space, here's the drawing, interview with the principal. Anything along those lines that we could use to help promote, you know, social media wise, Location 19,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to help sell parents on, hey, check out School 16, go visit. So he said he'd check into it, and he was hoping they'd have something that's not available for walkthroughs yet. But, you know, parents are deciding right now whether they're going to move or whether they're going to sell, and we got this this newly renovated facility.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend a doctor and a lawyer, they're going to move to Pittsford, and I'm like, you guys know that they haven't renovated the buildings in Pittsford in like 30 years. And we have a brand new
Yeah, this
that
is
they could
something we
walk
need to be crowing about.
We should be. The district should definitely be crowing about it. We should have some stuff we can put on social media. We should have stuff we can be putting out there. Register your kids. Come here. Come to 16. Here's an interview with the principal. Here's the PE teacher. Here's a preschool classroom. What's it going to look like?
Let me, I'll follow it up with operations and placement as we talked about.
And Lori over at Communications, still Lori.
Buckley?
Yeah, just get some stuff out. Some of us would love to share it. There's 3 social media people right here.
Yeah, I was looking yesterday. I didn't get a chance to go down to central office for the budget review, but my computer took me down there. I had other things to do getting ready for today, and up pops a YouTube announcement that they're streaming the budget presentation. So I looked at that, and that is one heck of a resource that very few people are using, because I'm watching the number at the bottom of the screen, and there were 3 or 4 people on. And I mean, it was better than going down there. You could hear the people better. The graphics, were shown in one screen and the person talking in the other. I mean, it was a Cadillac presentation, really done well.
For what?
This was the budget
The budget
meeting.
So any board, almost not the executive sessions, but almost any board, almost any board member meeting is shown in live cast. If you can find where to sign in on the district webpage.
Yeah.
So, and then they're often put on YouTube. The district has a YouTube channel, although it can take quite a while sometimes for a particular board meeting to show up on YouTube.
Yeah, I kept an eye out after the presentation was done and looked at if it was going to tell me, what was the YouTube link going to be, and I got that and went to it, and it's pretty good. Other than you had to know enough to go, look for when does the meeting actually start, because it had 30 minutes or 27 minutes of dead time with just the screen saying what was coming, and then they had the meeting, and it was just as good. I mean, you get it in HD TV, basically. It's really a nice resource. And we've got to try to get, because so many people say we never know what's going on in the school district, and that's because they don't go to some of the meetings, and you can't go to every meeting there is, but we need to be more aware of how to get into the system that's there and being underutilized. And that would be great if, at some point we can use that YouTube channel that you folks have got for doing things like highlighting, school 16, school 19, school 29, and so forth. So somebody, I mean, the pages that the different schools have are pretty good, although it depends on the school and how computer savvy the people there are as to how current things are, but we can do better than we're doing, I think, in terms of making people appreciate what's there in the system.
Similarly, I just stumbled across which I posted to the neighborhood social media, soda, Brighton chorus. So, never knew this, but for the last 5 years, the soda chorus and the Brighton High School chorus do a joint concert. And 1 year it's at Soda, and the next year it's at Brighton. So, in this particular one, Soda starts off, then Brighton, and then they all sing together. It's like, wow, I never knew this happened. And my kids graduated from Soda. It started after they graduated. But it's like, what a great thing. I mean, we should be promoting that all over the place, that we have a city school and a suburban school getting together, not competing on the sports field.
Right.
Doing something really already great together. It's like, wow, this should be like promoted all over the place.
Okay. All righty.
Metro Justice?
Yeah, we got School 41 update. Richard, do you have anything new that you know of that's been going on at 41?
Probably this fellow knows more than I do.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been away.
I
Right?
share a couple things right now, as you know, for lack of a better term, School 41 went into super receivership, if you will. This year it was a receivership school that failed to make demonstrable improvement, and we were essentially forced by the state to do one of a couple different things. Essentially propose a model which will have better outcomes for students, or work through the state to appoint what's called a receiver. And so our Office of Innovation, who that's led by Chief Beth Massetti Miller. She oversees all of our receivership schools. She and her team did a really, I thought, put together a really thoughtful plan for that school, so that we can hang on to it. Because we don't, we do believe, and this is something that, John, you were part of a lot of the conversations with Path Forward. We have models in Rochester that are working and that we should be looking to replicate. And so our thinking was, in terms of looking at a redesign model, was to do just that. If we have to phase out a model, to look at what is working in Rochester and to try to replicate some of those programs and some of those models. And so the model that we created specific to 41 is really centered around that. Looking at a STEAM focus for that school, looking at expeditionary learning as the curriculum, and a lot of the same principles that you would see at World of Inquiry around establishing building values and some of what they focus on in that building. Looking at developing it as a community school, so having a strong core instructional program, expanded learning opportunities, but also supporting kids and families through family services and mental health services.
Right.
And then as you're trying to look, it's not just enough to simply say we're going to replicate a model. There has to be a lot of cross collaboration with those established models that are working and whatnot. So there's through grant funding, we proposed a strong professional learning model for teachers. So the model proposes an additional 4 weeks of training over the summer, where we'll be working closely with World of Inquiry, so that we could hit the ground running. And then, just some basic things that Mike could speak to in terms of refreshing that building with some fresh paint and replacing furniture as needed and things like that. Material costs that may be associated with the new curriculum. But the plan has been submitted. Like I said, I think the team really did a good job. And to back up a little bit, even, they made a strong case not to the state prior to when we found out that the school tentatively had been placed on that list, to give them a little more time, because they have been showing incremental improvement.
Right, and especially in the behavior and
for sure.
And the kids using, restorative practices they're doing, and
Right.
a lot of good things. That I went in there, and it was a nice place to be in.
Yes.
And
even academically, they are showing progress. The thing that's interesting about the way that the state's accountability system works is, especially in larger urban districts, 41 is not, in my opinion, our most troubled school. They've come a long way. The sad part is they just kind of ran out of time in the state's eyes. And I thought Beth and her team really put together a solid rationale to the state as to why they should be given more time, but it just wasn't happening for them.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the short of it is, to wrap up, we put together a plan that's awaiting state approval. We went through the process of interviewing principals, and we've identified a finalist. The state will also have a say in who we select as the principal there. Even if our plan is approved, then it would still include, and we don't have a state-appointed receiver, there will still be a monitoring process. There has to be a state-approved monitor that's a part of all of that. So,
That person has to be paid out of the RCSC budget too?
yes.
Okay.
so, and how about the staff? I know there was a question about that. Returning or not returning, or they have to interview?
It's a process that we work through with the teachers union in terms of who stays and who goes, and so our legal counsel is in the process of working with union leadership on that. And also, you have some teachers that say, I would rather, be a part of. I'd like to apply for a transfer. And again, if you have teachers that they say I would rather go, then we've gone over there and spoken with staff on more than one occasion to say, if that's what people want to do, then on both sides we'll work collaboratively to.
Now, they had replaced 3/4 of the teachers there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Already.
And, gotten them
Yep.
up to speed, and I think things were going pretty well, but then they had to let half of them go again? Is that what I heard?
It won't necessarily, like I said, that's something that we'll have to work through in terms of, the percentage of teachers that stay and go. I think, under the old system of accountability, it was the 50% rule, I believe. I don't necessarily know that that's the case under the new accountability framework.
They were able to safeguard the autistic classrooms so that they
The
don't
idea
have
is to
any
keep them
changes.
intact, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, it just like you said, like John said, they replaced all teachers, and they were all mostly new, to my understanding, young
Yeah.
teachers,
Yeah, you're right.
They're
About
being
3 out of every 4 were.
working and
New
doing
hires.
well.
Yeah.
So hopefully those who wanted to stay had the opportunity to stay. That would be my wish.
Yeah, they put forth a valiant effort, and I think you're going to see some more improvement this year. They are committed to pushing all the way to the finish line. We just visited that building last week, actually, and they're working really hard and trying to do the right thing under really difficult circumstances.
So the person that was recently appointed by the commissioner,
Yeah.
right, to oversee, and stop me when I'm wrong, to oversee the schools that are in receivership, 41 would be one of them, right? How's that work?
Well, I'll be honest. This is you're talking about what was announced yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So as it's new for you, it's new for us, and you saw President White's statement that it wasn't like we knew that was coming.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
So it's not like we were sort of included in some sort of a planning process.
Oh.
It was we found out kind of the same way you found out.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
All right.
Well, not at the same time, but maybe I had maybe a 45-minute head start.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
okay.
There wasn't a whole lot of back and forth between us and the state. So I think, on our end, we're trying to figure out exactly what that's going to mean for us, is just like you guys are, and we'll make sure that that's communicated as we get more information. But it's not necessarily specific to, at least based on what I've read, the conversations we've had internally, and what I know of the process. This isn't something that's been done very often. In fact, I think it's only maybe the 3rd time in the history of the state that it's ever been done. But it's not necessarily specific to School 41. I think it's more of a comprehensive approach to district-wide improvement, looking at the entire system.
The entire, not just those in receivership.
Yeah, I think there will be, to your point, a special focus on our lowest performing schools. But I think it's more broad-based than that in terms of what his interaction within the district is going to be. That's the sense I get early on.
Wow.
But again, my disclaimer is that I probably don't have a whole lot more information than you guys do.
Well, the paper sort of indicated that he was going to do a paper study.
Yeah, we've done a lot of studies as of late.
Howard Eagle had on Facebook, he had some information on the background of this person not having very much urban credibility.
Yeah, Oswego is not quite.
Not quite urban.
Well,
It is a city.
So I do know a little bit about his district,
One of the top 5.
downstate district, where he retired. And if it's worth taking a look. He came from a district called Middletown, which it's not as big as Rochester, but it's not a small district either. It's about 8,000 kids. And in many ways, similar demographics. I think it's maybe between 80 and 90% free and reduced lunch. I think maybe 80% predominantly Black and Latino, but 90% graduation rate. In 3 through 8 math outperformed the state average by about 10%.
Where's this?
Middletown.
Black and Latino students outperform white students in that district.
That's worth a field trip, John.
Also, you don't see nearly the gap between have and have-nots in terms of
Academic performance.
It really, they are a district that was starting to receive certainly statewide attention, but also some national attention as well. He's a superintendent that is, I know, at least in New York State, highly regarded.
So,
He has a reputation as being someone who is unapologetic about his focus on equity.
oh, wow.
Great.
So,
That's awesome.
and that's just what I know of him. But I encourage you, take a look at some of the stats in Middletown. Take a look at the demographics, and then take a look at the results there. It's pretty interesting.
Do you know what the poverty rate is there?
I'm not sure exactly. I only looked at what the free and reduced lunch numbers were in the
so that gives you
in the
an
district.
idea.
It gives you a sense, but it's I mean there are differences in terms of poverty.
Well, nobody's as high as ours, but.
Yes. But this isn't like sort of like a cupcake district where he was getting good results. I mean, and I know a couple people that were in his region, his neighbors, and they said, he's somebody that really went in there and said, this is my focus, is to close the achievement gap. And I'm going to harness all of my resources in order to do that and to get the very best results, regardless of where a kid comes from. Whether they have it, whether they don't, that's it.
As a slight segue, talking about superintendents, I mentioned earlier that Wright and Soda did this nice thing. I'm wondering if next year Henrietta will be reaching out to and saying, hey, let's do some joint activities.
That's the idea,
Let's
That's
do
right.
some cross-training here.
I think that would be a great idea, seriously. I think those type of relationships benefit everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. We're all trying to feel our way through this whole thing and the announcement that happened yesterday and see how it shakes out. But in terms of that's kind of the background that I know of on the gentleman that's coming. But like I said, take a look for yourself at that district. It's interesting. There's something happening there, for sure.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, we often hear, well, it's poverty, that's why we've got all the trouble, but
Some
depends
people
on
are doing
what poor families are we talking about?
Right.
What was the upheaval in their history that got them to that state? That has as much to do as just what financial state are they in now.
What's his name?
I think Ken Eastwood, I believe. No relation to Clint. I don't think. Maybe. Who knows?
Okay, we got School 44 next, and we're fortunate to have a teacher from there to fill us in on what's going on.
Well, we're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to come, because I knew that you guys would be very interested in that. There's no plan to do anything for 18-19 as far as displacing the school, or we're still in the process of framing those 3 options for the board. You know about the resolution, obviously, that was put forth how many years ago, John?
Yeah, the one that said that they were going to close
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we got 10 to stay open. Then there was the resolution that Mary got through that said it had to stay open until 16
Yeah.
reopened, and then the study that the superintendent was doing wasn't going to be done in time, so there was another resolution passed at her request.
Yeah, to wait till path
To
forward.
wait
is over.
until the path forward.
Yeah.
And now we're still waiting for path forward. huh?
So there's no plan to. We just felt like when we got through path forward, we were like, any serious alteration that you are going to propose, by the time it's studied and by the time you actually put something together that makes sense, by the time the board makes a decision, you're going to push up and against the deadline and force people to change too quickly, and it just wouldn't make sense. So it made sense just to say, keep 44 intact for 18, 19, and then do whatever you're going to do. Maybe you stay intact forever. Who knows? But for 18, 19 at least.
Well, there's only one problem with that, is that School 44 has been being told, I can't even. I mean, I've been in that building since 1995. I can't tell you the amount of principals we've had. I mean, it's a shame what's happened to the school. It really is a shame to just watch it go down. I feel like, I got to jump ship, which is a sad feeling to have as a teacher. I mean, I love that school. That's my whole career has almost been there, and not just the school, but the families.
Yeah.
I have a student, well, she's not a student anymore, she's a mother, and she's bringing her child to preschool, and she's like, Mrs. Lahr, I want my child to come to your kindergarten class, and I'm thinking in my head, well, good luck, because, who knows what's going to happen. And the reason I'm saying is the morale in the building is,
Right.
Because we've been told year after year after year closing. Oh, now you're going to stay open, huh? Oh, no, now we're going to close you. So,
Yeah.
It's really sad that, and I don't think it's just the teachers. I think it's family, community members that come there. And I'm not just saying students. I'm talking about, the Girl Scouts that come in. And, why would you want to have these activities at a school where, you want to have a relationship with the school. You don't want to go in and say, oh, well, we're going to do this for a year. And then they screwed us. Sorry, but they did. When they took the kindergarten out. So now we've got a crazy.
Yeah, you don't have a third grade.
It's crazy. So.
I think, and I hear you. I think, and I visited just briefly, probably 2 months ago. And.
Well, you came right after our big announcement, right?
Yeah.
When we were told.
And so that was what was communicated to me. Whatever you're gonna do, if you're gonna close us and keep us open, just let us know one way or the other. But being in limbo all the time is difficult. And so, but we also, through Path Forward, we said we genuinely, and sometimes that causes you to get criticized for being either indecisive or slow. But we really wanted to be thoughtful about any recommendation we made. So that's why we said, look, for 18, 19, just don't mess with them. Let them know that, the recommendation isn't going to be to do anything. And then let the board decide what they want to do long term. And I can tell you one of the options is to build that school back up and create a robust neighborhood school model. That will be an option that's on the table for them. It's just a matter of what everybody wants to do long term.
So when would a
But
19...
I hear you. I know that it's painful to be in limbo like that all the time.
When would a 1920 decision be made?
I expect that would be made by this spring.
Okay. I mean, that's another thing to communicate, is for 18, 19, you're open. And
Which is what what's-her-face Shirley told us. She did say that. Oh, you're not going to have kindergarten, but so now we're not going to have 2 grades. I mean, but then she retracted that and said, oh no, you are having kindergarten. So we don't really know if we're having kindergarten. But she's never done special ed.
Right.
Oh, but she went to school and said, oh look, I have this on my, I have it on my degree that I can teach high school.
It may not
Trust
be
me, I
able-
can't teach high school, I'm telling you.
It may not Technically,
But
it'd be a
it's
violation,
different.
but it's not exactly what you'd be.
It wouldn't be a
not what you'd be
violation.
looking for.
The kids are not being serviced.
Truly
Because
certified.
it still has to be a number, right? It has to be an equal count to the teacher and the special ed and an
There's
aide.
a number of kids that can't go over
Right.
12 kids who are
Right.
classified and all those things, right? It's not ideal. Clearly not ideal.
It's a bad situation. So, you know, again, and we have these other special ed classes that are out of control. So we feel, and you know, we get the, oh, well, you know, you need to do an FBA. Okay, we need to do a little bit more than that because these are really day treatment and residential kids that we have. And so the staff as a whole just feels like, oh, well, you know, the more problems you put in, the easier it is to close us. That's really what staff is feeling.
At the being dumped.
And I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, you know, because I'm in kindergarten and I'm in heaven. You know, we don't know anything that's going on in the rest of the school. We just do our merry little thing. So I'm as happy as could possibly be, but with a dark cloud over my head.
No, I understand.
So,
I understand.
yeah, it's fun.
I have a question about Path 4. Just, can I piggyback on that? Because you did bring up Path 4.
Absolutely.
You did, Bo, are you going to have more community meetings like we did before? I think that was in the initial statement was after this has been formulated, each stage you're going to reach out to the community.
Yeah, the idea is to for the district to begin doing that on a regular basis.
Right.
In terms of, you know, doing regular community engagements and also doing that more often with students. Because, you know, that was our first big engagement. We probably could have stopped there. They pretty much told us everything that, you know, was good and the stuff that we needed to fix. And when we looked back, when we looked across every single engagement we did, and we ended up doing, you know, more than 50 engagements. Some were like this, do you know what I mean? It was just like a few people sitting around a table solving problems. And then you guys were some of the ones that were bigger. We did, I think the one we did here was probably 40.
You know, over at Wheatley there,
Yeah.
it was probably 40 plus the folks from.
That was one of our
Central
bigger
office,
neighborhood
yeah.
ones. And then we did, you know, some that were more like sort of stand and deliver, where you've got a few people you've got a few hundred people in the room, and it's more informational.
Right.
There isn't a whole lot of interaction. But a lot of the themes that we heard, the kids told us all those things at SOTA that first time out. You know, we had the
The message is
250,
the same.
300 kids. What's that?
The message is clear.
Yeah, I mean, they live it every day, so they
Right.
can tell you what doesn't work in the system and
Yeah.
what does, you know.
I
And they
hope
told
they
us there,
continue.
they said, why don't you, you know, you've got some things that work well, why don't you just, you know,
Yeah.
do more of them? And get rid of the things that don't work. And that was kind of all of a sudden, it was like, you know, after 4 months, that was the redesign model. Phase out your models that don't work and replicate your models that do.
Yeah.
So,
But there will be more.
that's the idea, yeah.
That's the idea. And they'll be advertised.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we learned a lot from going through them. So
Good.
we would, I think there are things that we would do differently in terms of how we communicate them, and in some ways how we structure them. I think that they'll be more specific to issues in neighborhoods and those kinds of things. Although, you know, some of you guys were pretty good about being pretty directive about what people are going to want to talk about. So we did, like, you guys were pretty clear about how we might want to frame conversations, and we try to take that into account. Same with Emma Beechwood. Emma Beechwood, it wasn't even, they were like, here's what you're going to ask. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to latch onto one of our meetings, here's what we want to know. And so we were kind of like, okay, we can roll with that, you know. But the idea is to get out there and do it more often, just as a regular part of what we do as a
It's a
team.
good idea, good PR too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know. I mean, people, I think, were appreciative that we were at least out there and listening. And there was and what I can tell you is that there was a genuine, you know, if somebody tried to tuck something into a plan or a recommendation, then we really pushed each other to say, well, where did you see that? Like, was that something you pulled out of when we did the demographic study? Is that something, where did that come up? Because we did an analysis. You remember that was something Mary asked us to do. She said, I want to see you guys, you know, do an analysis of what comes out of these community engagements. And so we pushed each other to say, well, where did you hear that? If we're going to put that in a recommendation,
where did you hear it? And then how often did it come up across all these engagements? So there aren't things that we propose that we just kind of pulled out of thin air.
Now, we haven't had, we had a good participation from the community at that first board meeting where they were on a weekend, on a Saturday there, where you had some presentation to, you were there, right?
Path forward.
Yeah,
And,
I remember which one you're talking about.
the very first one they had after the very loud meeting we had it on
44.
Thursday.
That was a long week, man.
Yes. I keep looking at what we've done and I say, boy, that's an awful lot in a little bit of time. But we didn't have any more follow-up meetings that the community heard about that we could go in and hear the discussion between the administration and the board. Is anything coming up in the near future?
I haven't heard of any scheduled work sessions. We're still trying to, with certain things, make sure that documents are production ready, do you know what I mean? So that you don't put something out there and all of a sudden it blows up in your face. You know, we did a study on our student assignment policy, so trying to put that into language where any parent could get on there and it would be understandable to them about, you know, what some of the issues and options are, those kinds of things. And that's what I meant earlier about, you know, I think some of the frustration with Path Forward is that sometimes people say, well, you're just too darn slow with certain things. But we really are trying to be thoughtful about the approach, and you know, we've kind of taken the stance that we'd rather be a little bit slower and hopefully get it right than to put some things out. We just can't afford that right now, you know, to put something out and give people misinformation or have it blow up on you, because you guys read the paper, you know that, you know. We're walking a fine line right now.
When you do put out the communication about, you know, the community meetings, is there a way that you can involve or inform the staff at the various schools in that community? Because we've never been told. I mean, we're like in the dark.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And like I said, I think that was one of the things. I mean, you know, a lot of the things that came up even here tonight are centered around communication, doing a better job of tooting your horn when things are going well, and doing a better job of when there's a crisis or a tragedy, doing a better job of bringing people together and communicating and things like that. And Path Forward was no different. One of the challenges with Path Forward and the communication aspect of it was the amount of engagements. That's another thing I would do differently. We said we would rather just go and try and cover as much ground as we can, but that was really challenging in terms of communicating with people the right way, and you know, a lot of times the communication would come late or it didn't come at all, and so I think, again, we would probably, when we go back out, I think that you'll see probably less in terms of the number of engagements, but hopefully more thoughtful engagement and better communicated engagement, you know what I mean? Because we were just out there all the time. Like during that stretch, we were out there every night. And like I said, sometimes it was just a conversation like this. Sometimes it was a bigger engagement, but that was one of the things that people said, you know, half the time I don't even know when these things are taking place. And that's because the communication was always coming late and a little bit haphazard.
Okay. Anything else relative to 44 that you think you have?
No.
I'll do it.
I mean, we're just waiting. But you think we'll know in this soon?
I do. Because, you know, the other
I mean,
part
has a
is-
decision, not has a decision
Yeah.
been made, but you know, there's the three options.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And there's only so much you can do, right? I mean, I mean, just to be honest and frank, there's either you keep the school as it is and you make it into a robust neighborhood school. Maybe you do something similar, but maybe try and because part of it is trying to fully utilize that space, right? So maybe you co-locate something there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you grow out of, I mean, and I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, so
Because what tends to happen is I'll throw something out in a meeting like this, and all of a sudden it's like Barb will come to me the next day and be like, "Did you say that we were?" You know what I mean? So I'm just speaking in hypotheticals
Well,
here.
don't worry, she'll know for sure because I'm
That's right,
recording.
Barb.
it.
I'm not just in case. John has proof here. I'm not. I'm just. We're just.
Well, we
We're
have
just kicking it
we
around
have
here.
heard that Montessori is coming in.
Yeah, and I think again, we would. It comes down to the space issue. You know, how much would you really have enough space to accommodate all that, or would you, cut yourself too short in terms of space? You know, like those kinds of things. So I think you could co-locate a program. You could just say we're going to just grow the school out in a different way, right? Or you close, essentially. I mean, those are really. Other than that, what else are you going to do, really?
I'm cognizant of time.
Yeah.
So just to throw out there, because we talked about, before we talked about Montessori, we talked about PR, we talked about a bunch of stuff. And in the past meetings, we've talked about the busing and neighborhood schools.
Yep.
And, quite frankly, if each of our schools did better PR, I mean, that's great news that we potentially have a Montessori program in our neighborhood, potentially.
Let me tell me more about that, because that is something that's been kicked around. What would be the thinking behind that? Is that something you guys would support if Montessori?
No, because then I won't be there.
So,
How could I support that?
So, for example,
that doesn't necessarily.
I know.
Who's going to Freddie Thomas?
Well, you mean if we moved Montessori?
Montessori's still going to be there in this coming year.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I didn't hear the if.
What's that? You mean if?
I didn't hear the if. If they moved, they would.
So are you saying if we moved Montessori out, what would we put in there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could use it as swing, which is always, when you're going through F&P, that's
Right.
beneficial. Or you could put what we call a RISE model in there, and that's something that we'll have to implement more often because you're going to have more receivership schools, like 41, or like a future concept program, that some of the things that we propose through Path Forward. But go back to what you're talking about.
For example,
Yeah.
I know more about what's going on at the City Library in Arnett and what classes are coming up and what programs are coming up and the music series that are coming up. I know what musicals what the Webster High School musical is. I know what the Norman Howard musical is. I have no idea what Wilson's musical is. It's right here. It's probably open to the public. We could probably buy tickets if we even knew what it was. At 44, at 16, at any one of our schools. You guys put on plays. You gotta put on activities. If we had more engagement. Oh, this is the principal. This is the PE teacher. I know Joe. They did the bollards, right? Then people would say, hey, this is my neighborhood school. And if we sold that product, people in the neighborhood would sign up to go to school, which would resolve the whole busing issue. If people wanted to attend their local school because they knew the principal, or they knew the program, or they knew this, regardless of state test scores, because you have relationships, like that mom who wants you to be her kindergarten future teacher, you would have neighborhood schools. People would not be shipping their kid across town to some other program, and the whole millions of dollars we spend on buses. But when I have people in my neighborhood who can't even tell me what the inside of 16 is going to look like for September, and it's now almost April, then of course they're not going to put that on their list for school choice. And I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many ways we could promote. Jen, we talked last time about having potentially a thing for teachers to come. I'm still thinking about it. We just had a fantastically successful event up at Brew Coffee. We have 9 Caribbean restaurants in Southwest Rochester. We had 5 of them up there. People get to come try them, taste them, and after the fact, I'm like, we should have invited our teachers. We didn't have enough room because we sold out. We sold out 36 hours in advance.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as I left there.
But we could have certainly reached out to our
And that's
teachers. They
something
could
that-
have tried food in our
And that's
neighborhood.
something that you should think about. If we have a big shindig over at the cafeteria, at 16 to maybe have it catered by all these various restaurants in the
If
area.
it's a community
Yeah.
space, then that's an opportunity to do those things. So I'm still thinking about that idea, John. I've been bouncing it around in terms of how we could do that.
But also I'm thinking, my kids go to school in Penfield, and their little third grade, they learn about China and or Japan, one of them, and they take the field trip. They get all dressed up in and they come into the city to go to a Chinese restaurant. I mean, the fifth grade is, or I'm not going to tell you what grade because it's fifth or sixth. Anyways, talks about South America and stuff. I have no idea what restaurants are around here. So that would be,
Those would be a great event to try to, but the point
it would be great.
like, I mean, so I'm just gonna go off for a minute. Because Wilson is 100, the building is 120 years old. It's history. The trees in front of the building, there's 2 trees that are at least 100 years old. The memorial outside of the school, from those kids who died 100 years ago fighting World War I. You have tons of history, and you could be promoting the history. You could do tours of the school, get people in. They could look at some of the murals. 44 is a gorgeous building. It's a gorgeous building, gorgeous.
It is a beautiful building.
I mean, there's so many ways the district could be promoting. Just, get them in for a tour of the building, talk about the history, and then they can check out the programs. And then oh yeah, my grandkid or my kid or whatever. I mean, there's so many ways.
One of the things that we were hoping to get out of the study that was done was how many kids are there in the various catchment areas, or whatever you want to say. I mean, when 10 became the Walter Cooper Academy, it was no longer a neighborhood school, it was citywide draw. So they lumped the catchment area for the old 37 in with 16. So we've got 1,000 or so kids on paper. I don't know what the latest study says, how many children are there in this area that would go to that school. But that certainly has an impact on whether you bring another citywide draw school like Montessori over to 44, and you've got a citywide draw school over at 10, and we've got 16, which is kind of a neighborhood school, although it's couldn't fit all the kids in the neighborhood in it if you had it a neighborhood school.
Yeah.
And we've got 29, which is kind of a specialty school. Can we really afford to have 44 as a citywide draw school if we really do believe that going back to a neighborhood school model is something that is desirable?
I think you could set it up. Your point's well taken. That's one of the things that came out of the study. For one thing, to the point you made earlier, transportation's sort of and Mike probably has talked to you a little bit about some of the challenges. It's sticky in a district this size, and also some of the policies that we have make it interesting as well. So when you started to look at school by school on heat maps where kids live, every school looks the exact same. They all look like a citywide school because kids are coming from all over the place. So, and so you do have, and that will be the challenge. If you went to, like, when you look at, all right, with a student assignment policy, and you were at that Saturday session and we talked about that, if you decide to go to a pure neighborhood schools model, it will be very, very difficult to implement that model, because you have areas of the city where you have too many kids and not enough buildings, and then other areas where you have an abundance of seat capacity, but you really don't have a lot of kids that are living there. So it'll probably be some sort of a hybrid model that is implemented.
Yeah. But one of the big things that has to take place for it to work in any respect is to get short distance busing approved, and somebody can get their kids bus 2 blocks if they have to go to the school. If that's what it takes to get them there. Better
You know
than
the
shipping.
challenge with that.
Yes, I know.
is-
I
is aid.
had one walk-in item, because I gotta go. So, I was at 175 Martin Street, or otherwise known as 610 St. Paul, on Friday for a meeting, and the security guards and staff were telling me that they're all moving out today. Today's the last day in the building.
Who is moving out?
The security guards and the people I was in the meetings with were telling me that they're all everybody, the kids are all out.
Yes.
The charter school closed, all the kids from all city are out, and the staff are telling me that they're all leaving. As of today.
I don't. My understanding is that they will. I'm reluctant, but this is more of a Mike question. My understanding is that they are. I didn't realize today was D-Day, but yeah. Until the idea being that if we're saying that it's that we should probably move kids and teachers out of harm's way, then we should probably move everybody else out of harm's way as well. And I say that meaning the perception and the concerns that are associated with that building. So yeah, it was to get the kids and teachers out first, and then to transition everybody else out as well. But it was not on my radar that today was the day. And Mike, as with most of these operations and facilities pieces, can speak to it much more specifically and much more eloquently than I can.
Okay.
So that was great news.
I want to ask a question real quick before you leave. When you were speaking on the parents in the neighborhood coming to see the school and that will want them to be a part of it, of the walkthrough. Being a parent liaison, I've been in a district 26 years. I lived in my community always, where I work. And being a parent liaison even opened my eyes wider to the difficulties and the things that parents deal with. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't help some to walk through, definitely. Anything bright and shiny, we always want it. Definitely it will work. But I think it has to look further to what you're going to have to do to get them in. Because some parents are just getting them there just so they can eat.
Yep.
So they can eat in the morning. So it's going to have to be bigger than just having a parent walk through. I think we're going to have to look further into what our community needs as a whole to get them in there. Not because the school's shiny, because when I go home, there's nothing shiny.
Right.
So it's about what they need, not about the surface. It's who's in here to help me when I get in the surface.
Exactly.
So I don't think I keep hearing the walkthrough, and yes, I want to see it. I'm gonna, everyone wants to see it. We're anxious, like it's new. We want to see it. But when they come, it has to be something else there other than a shiny building.
It's a great point because once after Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, Ibero-American pulled together a fair, and they had hundreds of people there. So part of it is if you have a walk-through of School 16, a formal one where parents can come look.
Yes.
Part of it is when you get to that gymnasium, the district could, if they're on the ball, have some of our social agencies in the neighborhood with sign-ups and breakups and explain how your kid's going to eat. All those type of things.
How can you help me? How can you help me?
Here's the school, and these are
the
programs
resources.
here that could meet your needs. Because
and not just today, because I'm okay today. Are you going to still be here next week when I'm not okay? So we need that resources in the community that they can get to, not over here.
Right.
I need it here.
Right.
Because today I'm eating. Next week I don't know.
Right.
So
no, that's a key part because every family in the district is different because I work with many of them.
Right.
Some just getting up in the morning is
it's
a challenge.
hard, exactly.
For any number of reasons. Maybe you just got home from a shift and now you got to stay up for an extra hour before you go to bed to get your kid on the bus or get them out the door. Right. So and one of the advantages for us for many of the kids in Southwest Rochester is we have our 2 rec centers. We have Adams Street, we have Roxy. We have the library where many kids come for after school, so they can come here do their homework. And then we also have the Boys and Girls Club, where a lot of our kids just go to the Boys and Girls Club. So, I mean, there's lots of resources right here that people can connect with, but they don't necessarily know that.
Right, and that's where we come in at, when they come through that walkthrough, is what I'm saying.
Need to know that.
Making sure that
And here's
it's,
how your kids
this
gonna get
is how-
fed, this is how this is
And,
gonna work.
and something else to segue into Oasis, it would be nice if there was something on tours like that to let parents know if there's some tie-in to Oasis that parents of the children could actually make some, use.
You want an Oasis statement too?
Well, I'm just saying that, that it would be nice to toot the benefits that we have, whether some classes could be held over there, certainly during the summer, or how do we help the family?
Yeah.
Because if the parents can get a better job, then that helps the whole
For sure.
family.
We did meet with some board members from Oasis this week. Conversation was more so about, it was a difficult budget year for us. It is a difficult budget year for us. So trying to find ways to restore funding. And we want to be supportive of that. It's just a matter of where we find the resources to do it in this next fiscal cycle. But we're trying, to at least maintain what they have and hopefully be able to build on that funding a little bit. And there's some other ideas that we have which would require state cooperation and some changes internally that could potentially significantly increase funding for them. But again, we have some work to do internally, and there would have to be some cooperation at the state level as well.
Okay. Did you have anything, Eleanor?
Just that we have a new Facebook page, and for people to go to that to see what's going on with Oasis. And the youth build, they've started, they've got a class size, but there's still openings for youth, at-risk youth ages 16 to 24 would like to learn construction skills.
where's this at?
Oasis, 30 Hart Street.
Oh, okay, yes.
So, and that's it.
And we are an extended day school, so we get out at 4:30 in the afternoon. All of our kids are bused. So there's literally no way that my kids in our school could take advantage of any of the resources in this area. And, by the time they get home at 5 o'clock, 5:30, I doubt they're taking advantage of any in their own neighborhoods.
Yeah, the bus ride is really a loss of time for them. It's very unproductive babysitting.
It's a very yes. And for the special needs kids, it's really bad.
There's nothing for them
It's
after school. Like Quad
terrible.
A, they're not a part of Quad A after school, the special need kids. They're not a part of that. They're not a part of a lot of things of after school programs. I'm with you on that. There's nothing for them.
Yeah, I'm glad the guy's coming in because we need to be fixed. I mean, we really do. And not for my sake, not for the principal's sake, not for your sake, for the kids' sakes. It's got to get fixed. I was a special ed teacher for my whole career, and
Yes.
I have an 8:15 meeting.
Okay.
I have to sneak
Well,
out
we
here.
need to.
So don't say anything important anymore.
Okay.
Or
All
email
right.
it to me.
I think it's a wrap. Closed up.